Shalom, shalom, mishpacha, b'Yisrael. It's Nakwai Yehu Nisha Yehu Yesharaya here. Alright, this video is on marriage, divorce from abuse. This is a special request video, and I did many videos on marriage before, and I never really got through all the topics. You can really talk about that for a long time. Divorce from abuse. Alright, so let's just talk about abuse in marriage, or where should I really start on this one? It's just a regular talk. I'm being informal. When you're looking for someone to be married to, or when you're betrothed to someone already, you need to know the character of the people that you're dealing with already. You have to be diligent to know about the person that you're trying to be with or trying to get to know. Yes, it's definitely a benefit to know what they know. Like, what they know. Or what how much education they got, for lack of better terms. How much education they got, and it's good education, and this, that, and the third, and whatever the case, but you need to know that morality level. And not just that morality level, like when everything calm and cool, but that special case ability. I guess that's making up stuff. But that special case ability, the ability to, wing it, or knowing right from wrong with the Most High want, be able to talk to people and deal with people's special cases on the fly and stuff like that. The ability to be in a tough situation, or not really a tough situation, but for example, America. You in America and you living out the Torah, and the Torah tell you all of these things that's wrong to do, whatever the case. Things that you got to be put to death for, like if you hit your mother, even if you curse your mother or father, you got to be put to death. Different things to tell you about. Don't prostitute your daughters, or else the land fall to whoredom and stuff like that, and you only making money off of sex money and stuff. So it's like it tells you different things in the Torah that you're not supposed to do, that ruins the world. That's the monkey wrench in the universe, but you end up being in it. And how do you be a person of solution in a country like that, or in a situation like that? we can enjoy ourselves, we can enjoy ourselves all day long in what we know right and wrong to be. Like, for example, you find someone that follow the Torah like you within your household, between you husband and wife, or husband and wife and children. Y'all can enjoy that, that small area of obedience of Torah, and get that comfort, and get that joy, and get your soul lifted up from that, for when you had to go back outside into the world, where it's a bunch of people that don't know nothing about anything about right and wrong, who you are, this, that, and the third, a bunch of judgmental people, all kinds of stuff, that you got to deal with, out here. And so, yeah, that's the case. So that's what you want to worry about first, is having a man or woman that know right from wrong genuinely, know the obedience, the Torah, the halakha, or the halakot, the derechot of the Most High Father. The asarot, the 10 Commandments. And have a heart to live it. I know I'm being so dry about it right now. But yeah, that's what you want. And then when you go into the marriage, or you go into the courtship, or whatever the case, or the betrothal, you start the process of being together physically from the betrothal. The betrothal is always the energy, the spirit connection first, and then the promise of marriage through spirit, meaning you're married in spirit, but you're not yet married physically. So you're mind to mind, soul to soul, spirit to spirit, but you aren't physical yet. So that means your life is already patterned behind one another. Like, your life is her life is your life. Or if you're polygynous, their lives are your life, and your life is their lives. You live for your wives, and the children that you bear from them, you live for them. So everything that you do is for them, and what they do is for you, and it's for the family as a whole to come together and find means to reach the world, and lift them up to joy, in many different ways, to lift them up. Also, that is the only really real mission of the world, is not just really to be being married, but a salvation mission, a salvation work to try to lift the people up to a pious life, a pure life, a holy life, modesty, chastity, sobriety on both sides, the men and the women, to get them acclimated to want to even make effort to live a certain kind of way, whereas though it's not so easy for them to come to it, they would put effort to it to do it. So you see a lot of people just living however, with some kind of desire to live right or whatever, a little bit here and there, but it's not enough for them to push towards it. Like how, for example, me yesterday going to the market with my cousin, I don't wear tight pants, so me walking around, everybody just want to see this guy with loose pants on, looking fresh, I guess. All I had on was some regular stuff, like when I was younger, the stuff that I wore was not something that you considered like he all let. Everybody was dressing like how I was dressing, so I would get no look at. Number one, everybody would be wearing the same shoes, the same pants, and you just got on a regular white tee with a hat. Like, ain't nobody tripping or whatever the case, because everybody looking the same. But because today everybody wearing super tight, I don't even know if they pants, and I don't know what that is they got you putting on, y'all. I don't know you putting on. It look like you got on a pair of pipes. Like you just put your feet in the whole pipe for real, and just your foot somehow came out the bottom. I just don't get it, yo. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't get the ballerina toe foot point when it comes to you putting the pants on. I don't get it. Like, do a stretch at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Is it stretchy at the bottom? And you point your toe like you twinkling on your. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I gotta laugh. You know what I'm saying? I know they might be mad, but put effort towards getting some loose pants. And it's like a follower thing. Like, oh, you being a follower. That's why you putting those clothes on. That's what it seemed like to me, because I would go out my way, do everything in my power to try to get some loose pants, man. If I can't, then that probably be the only time you see me wearing something tight like that, is if I have no choice at all, 100% no clothes out here. You know what I'm saying? No loose clothes at all out here that you can get. You know what I'm saying? I would beg somebody on the street, like, excuse me, sir, like, we'll work for pants. You know what I'm saying? We'll work for loose pants. And the guy, like, what's the sign about? Like, man, I'll just really, like, I'll work just to, whatever work I need to do to get some loose pants type. That's what I would possibly do. That don't mean try, just because you're watching my video, try that on me. You know what I'm saying? Karma gonna come to you now. I've been through too much. So don't try that. Please don't try that. Because you not knowing me, thinking that it's something that you might want to try on me, and then it's going to come back on you 10 times. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just making a point that that's what I would do. Will work for loose pants. And ask somebody like, sir, can I get these Dickie pants in Walmart, or get some Dickie pants that's loose at the bottom, or whatever the case, or something like that. Something, yo. But if they make all pants in the world tight and no loose pants at all, we done for, really. We done for. You gotta start making your own clothes out here. I probably had to look, man, can you take me to Joann's so I can get some needle and thread and get some fabric, get some jean fabric, and try to make some pants. It's like that serious for real. It's that serious. And make some pants. It's crazy, yo. But yeah. Divorce by abuse. I'm skipping a lot of stuff, I'm sidetracking stuff like that. Just enjoy the conversation, because it's not really for everybody. It's for one person in particular, but this is to weed out all of the people that don't need to see it for real, because it's not for them. Click the video off by now. But once you get into your union, or your sacred marriage rather, once you get into your sacred marriage, you're supposed to know the person or whatever. You're supposed to love each other. Should be no possibility of abuse or whatever the case. And if you're in a situation where there is some type of abuse, then there are character issues in the marriage. There's a character flaw, some character issues in there somewhere, where somebody's not ready to be married. And because somebody's not ready to be married, you start seeing all kinds of character flaws, or attitudes start to flourish out of the person and it always starts on one side. Like, for example, you can have a back and forth about something or debate about something. Like, you might not agree with something that your wife say, or your wife might not agree to something that you say, but eventually it hashes out with both of you loving each other and really sitting down and trying to come to a neutral conclusion about a thing. Like, you come to a neutral ground on a disagreement, and you become like two people that just met and you don't know each other, and then you're trying to reason out whatever this thing is, and it's like that's what you got to do whenever you come to a clash. You got to act like you know nothing, act like you have no experience in life, and you have to be like a complete stranger in that setting whenever you disagree on something that might be crucial or something like that. Or even if it's something small, and petty, you always try to be the first person to let it go, because it's nothing critical to the state of your soul or your salvation or nothing like that, or the state of your placement, as far as the way you stand with the Most High, whether you're in good right standing or not. It's not, if it's something petty like, oh, what you want from the store, like, you want Lay's chips or you want Utz chips. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, that's, and then something petty come out of that situation. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to be petty. So I don't know how to, y'all can create something like that and do that, but I don't know how to be petty, I'm always the first person to let something go. Like, it don't even matter. Like, if, like, my ex-wife, when she was like, what you want to eat? Like, she'll open the freezer up. What you want to eat? I'm like, well, the first thing you see, for real. That's why I say the first thing you look at, that's what we eat. And then she'll open the freezer up, grab it. It eliminated a lot of thought processes, a lot of critical thinking, and it also eliminated a lot of stress and strain, and it made it easier, not only for me, but for her. Like, what you want to eat? Like, and she thinking like, I'm gonna ask for the most. Like, I want this with a side of this, lightly roasted on a bread of rice and some crack. Like, she thinking that I'm gonna ask for the most, but I'm just like, man, the first thing you see, whatever. You know what I'm saying? The first thing you see, just cook that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was. And then it gave her, it opened her up to want to put some creativity to it herself. Like, dang, it's just like, man, you know what? I'm going to do this, and this. And being simple and being basic with your wife, when it comes to small things that people would be petty over, is always key to eliminate arguments and fights on that sense. But on a critical sense, where it's the state of your soul and salvation like that, you want to be like very big, like children not knowing anything, very basic, and then you make yourself like strangers to each other, and you start talking to each other like you're two people trying to learn something that you never heard before. That's what you got to be like. And you come to a conclusion together, whether you should decide to X, Y, and Z or not. You don't just be like, well, let's agree to disagree or whatever the case, because then it's going to come back later. It's going to resurface later. So you got to get to that issue. You just got to be extremely humble and meek, have humility in that situation, to where you have to really, in a sense, almost like throw out everything that you know out your mind and start going at that thing on a basic level, like a regular person trying to find truth. Like, what the grass is this or that, or being regular. And then and together, if you love each other and the love is true, you'll come to a conclusion together, and it will come out. The truth of the matter will come out, and you'll be like, you know what, you're right. Da, 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 da. That's a weird deal or whatever. And both of you will agree on whether you should believe a thing, or this thing is true or not, or whatever the case, or follow this thing or not follow this thing. That's what you do together, and it eliminate all of that argument. But when you learn something in your life, growing up all your life, people do have a tendency to get angry and rise up and start attacking people that disagree with whatever it was that they was raised learning, and whatever language it came from. 70 languages in the world. You know what I'm saying? So let's just say it's 70 belief systems. How you know that is, it could be like people can say, like, how you know that even one of those But that's what you do. You sit down and you actually go through those things whenever it presents itself to you. It's not necessarily saying you got to learn everything in the world, because you're not going to. But if something come across your path in life, you must come at that thing on a general level and see if you should add it to your family or not. Add it to something that should be of a moral code or not. You should not just be putting the Most High in a box like that. Like he don't speak to other people in the world. So, but he do have a chosen set of people. We must learn history. As part of living in this world is like knowing what happened before, who built this stuff before we was born here. You just growing up, you see a bunch of houses and homes and stores and wires and cords and street lights and roads. Like, yo, who built all this? Train tracks and crap like that. Like, you don't know who built it, how long it took, and none of that. You just born all of a sudden, stuff is here. So it is your due diligence also to learn history about what the Most High did in this world and what was going on, and and what's the story of a chosen people? What's these chosen people like? Or in Israel, what happened in Israel? Where they at? Where the chosen people at? Then you start doing due diligence on that. Where the chosen people at? And once you start doing that, you start knowing what happened and this and this and that and this and that. Then you get to the final conclusion, what you should do and how you connect to that thing. You start realizing where you stand at, and the in all of time, all of existence of mankind, you start finding out where your place is. History. You're not supposed to be uneducated, and you're not supposed to be cut offish to things that make sense. If things make sense, moral sense, give it thought. Not saying that you got to add it to yourself, but give it thought and reason around that thing, how it can be added to what something that the Most High allows or accepts or something like that, or whatever. Despite languages, just the whole fact of the moral part of it. And because of that, this is why a lot of arguments come out, a lot of fights come out in marriages. This is why my ex-wife was going all crazy over the moon Sabbath or whatever. She was going all crazy over the moon Sabbath, like, oh, the moon Sabbath. Like, it took me a while myself to realize that there's no such thing as a moon Shabbat. There is a such thing as a new moon. But there is no such thing as a moon Sabbath. Because before the moon was created and made, Sabbath was already in existence. So Sabbath is not depicted by the moon. All right, the moon is just a set piece of a time, like it's like a piece of a watch. The moon is just a part of a watch, a wristwatch, that helps you tell the time to know when Sabbath approaches in accordance with the Creator's overall time clock of the universe that we in altogether. It's just that over time we lost time in a way. Times will change. People tamper with time. They tamper with everything so that everything is mixed up. You thinking it's 2021 when actually it's 6,600 and something. It's 66. All right. And so it's the year 6,690th. That's an estimate, not a guesstimate. 6,690, somewhere in there. Because I calculated this in 2015. I found out what the year, the upcoming year of Jubilee was going to be after I calculated it. And I also found out, or Yahbel, or Yael, or Yahubel, some say, Yahubel, or Yahubel. I found out what the year Jubilee was, and I found out what the year release was, because I know I'm sidetracking, but the year release being the 7th year, you relax, you rest, you refresh, debt and all that stuff get canceled and all that stuff like that. Things get, it removes a lot of debt and stuff. You get clean slates and stuff like that. In the year Jubilee, the whole entire planet gets relieved of its debt to the world. Whatever debt you might have been in, meaning people that are in power understand what I mean by debt of the entire world. But people that are not in power, that are like just kind of like people that rely on the government, they don't really understand this part. But if you were somebody in power and you over top of the people, like a king or whatever, you the royalty, you understand being indebted to the earth. You understand being indebted to the powers that hold this world up, the spirits of the trees, the spirits of the sun and the moon. You become indebted to the spirits of the water. You become indebted to the demons and this and that. Depending on what you're doing in life, you become indebted. But in the year Jubilee, you get a fresh start And it's like you have no debt at all. It's like you're a newborn in the world, and there's no credit, no debt, no nothing about you. You're just born here. That's what it's like. You get a whole fresh start. But that every 7 years is a fresh start for the person, for the nation of Israel and those who participate in obeying the Torah, coming under those customs. Not supposed to be you holding on to people's debt because you have an issue about money. And when you make money the main source of obtaining necessities in the world, then you have people out there that become petty on both sides. People become petty because they can't do a thing to pay a thing, and then people become petty to hold that thing over your head. But if the system never existed, it would never be such a thing. Because then when you eliminate money, it forces people to love one another. It forces people to learn how to take care of one another, look out for one another. You're not just doing stuff to people and you're not looking out for them. It forces you to love one another. But how do you force someone to love someone is by helping them see. It helps the people put on other people's shoes and feel what they're going through. That's what eliminating money does. So then in eliminating that, you seeing it, you can also help each other get on the same level. It don't mean that because America's very luxurious, or you have places like Dubai that's very luxurious and stuff like that. Dubai is very luxurious. You can do anything. Rocket packs, jet packs, you can do anything in Dubai. But in that sense, it shouldn't just be Dubai. It should be everywhere in the world should be able to have that same type of luxury. And then you have your safe spaces where people don't want so much luxury. They just want kind of like a laid back area of nature and stuff like that. You have that, but there should be a balance of both where you're not suffering, meaning you have your basic necessities taken care of. There's not too less and not too much. You have your food, shelter, clothing, communication, and transportation are the main things you need in life. Food, shelter, clothing, communication, and transportation you must not be without. You must always be able to communicate with people and loved ones and stuff like that. So phones are necessary. You know what I'm saying? And not just some rinky-dink crap. Like, you should be having iPhone 13 level phones, you know what I'm saying, with the service that matches. And then you should also have transportation, you know what I'm saying? Very reliable. Not just, this is reliable. No, but very well taken care of transportation. We get it that people are reckless at times. You know what I'm saying? But you should have well taken care of transportation. You know what I'm saying? There should be no need of money at all. Everybody does everything they need to for free. But what eliminates that is losing loved ones. When you lose loved ones, you lose love. You have relationship issues, marriage issues, love issues. You don't get sex in your marriages. That's what you're not thinking. That's what you're not realizing, that sacred marriage requires sex as well. And that is a relief and a pleasure. Also, the embrace of a loved one, and meaning like your wife or your husband, the embrace of a how can I put it, spousal embrace. So embracing your spouse or whatever, when it's done right. I have to say that when it's done right, husband and wife, not husband and husband. You could say wife and wife if both of y'all had the same husband. If you got two women together, it's not lesbian if you got the same husband. Or rather, it's not wrong. You just need some salt with your eggs. You know what I'm saying? That's not an issue, because when a man is polygynous and he have more than one wife, all of those women are sister wives. It's really a riddle saying you're either a sister to this woman or you're a wife to this woman, because you can marry two sisters. You can marry a woman and they both are sisters to each other, like Leah and Rachel, and they were sisters. So they were sisters. Or you can be wives to each other. So in the marriage, you're either saying, this is my sister or this is my wife. So they ended up saying, this is my sister wife, because you're so close that you're like a sister. So they just combined it together. So it's letting you know some of the wives were able to be intimate with one another, whenever they were feeling it or whatever, or around it, or whatever the energy was coming. Or for example, they sitting there talking about how they miss their husband and this, that, and the third. And the next thing you know, the energy start flowing. She start crying, or whatever the case, the energy is there. Next thing you know, you start kissing and That the wives are making love to one another because they miss their husband or something like that, or whatever the case. But it don't matter, because that's one household, that's one family. You know what I'm saying? It is allowable. Why? Because the wives are like the rainbow. Okay, each color make each other. If you don't mix the blue with the green, you never gonna get purple. So you got blue is crying, Red is over here like, what's wrong with you? Angry that she crying. You know what I'm saying? And then red and blue come together and they make violet. And so now they got violent. But it's they exchanging love and pleasure. So what? The details you don't need to know about how they exchanging love and pleasure. It's just that's one family right there. And then you got another man over here or whatever that's a pious man in the Most High Yah. His family is his family. It's not for you to know what they do. But to understand that it is allowable, it is allowable. So I'm going sidetracking so hard or whatever, but these things are needed or whatever so that people can get the motivation to get up, because without somebody to love, you're not motivated. Like, nobody loves America. So when you throw news articles and you start saying things like people need to go back to work, people need to get back up and get jobs, and then you start control P'ing people, you control P entering people, you start printing out papers and taking you start doing stuff to people, whether right or wrong, but things are being done, and some people, it's just crazy, yo. It's crazy. It's too many ways I can put it, because it's this, how can I put it? The hole is so deep to fill, or whatever the case, it's going to take a while to fill it up. It ain't like I can't fill it. It's just going to take a long, long video to fill it. But still, I just wanted to say that, yo. Like, I don't want to make the video too long. I can't upload it. But, yeah. When you're talking about abuse, yo, you need to make sure you with the right person. You know what I'm saying? That you know how to hash out issues. The person know how to listen to. That you know how to listen to one another. As in, really sit there like you present this brand new thing in the family. Like I was at work or whatever on a business meeting, and I went and took a flight to Japan, and they had said something about something that had something to do about what we already know, and it has a connection to what we know, and da-da-da-da-da, and the wife is like, Japanese, like, I understand, we love sushi and all this, but da-da-da-da-da, so she's saying this and that, or whatever the case, and now you trying to talk to her, and she not hearing you, meaning she's like really cut off as to what you're saying, even though you're her husband and she should give you that moment of listening. Like, this is your husband who you should trust to guide you the right way, or else why would you marry him? So if he presents you with something, you should really give thought to it instead of just be cut off or whatever. Not instantly looking like, what's this thing he talking about? You know what I'm saying? Follow anyway. Sounding right, it sound moral, it sound this. Come to a thing like, how can this benefit the family? Ask the right questions. How can this benefit us in morality? How can this add to our holiness, our piety? How can this add to our advancement of coming closer to the Most High and our success, or whatever the case when it comes to piety and whatever the case, your status and your stature in the community of pious people or whatever. So that's what you should be looking at. As far as money and finances, whether you holy or evil, you can make money. It's not nobody worrying about that. Like, you can be the most evil person in the world. You can be a little girl with Pampers on and start trying to twerk, and next thing you know, people start throwing money at you because your daughter start twerking because she got on Pampers. You ain't gotta be nothing to make money, you know what I'm saying, financially or whatever, but you need everything to be careful to add piety and purity and holiness to your family structure, so that you can keep peace within your household and peace within yourself and a clear mind, no demons, none of that. Your health is good, all of that stuff. So yeah, yo. But no, yo, you should not be abusing each other, because then that's why I didn't even go on tit for tatting with that thing. Can you abuse your wife? Like, you shouldn't even be. That shouldn't even be a question. Or should you be abusing your husband? It should not be a question. Why are you even with them if you feel like you gotta put hands on them? Yeah, you can go back and forth. Sometimes people raise their voice and stuff like that, but there should be no you putting hands on people. It could be a big misunderstanding for a reason. Like, or somebody came up or whatever, you handling something, and your wife is extremely jealous over you because you just dicked her out so hard, and she feeling good and ain't felt like that before. It was the best moment she had that moment, and then, there was a particular day, this, that, and the third. You smashed her out. She's squirting everywhere, coming everywhere, can't stop. She still can't, you done and she's still horny type stuff, loving you. You get up cooking food, frying stuff, rose petals all over the ground with candle light and all that. Next thing you know, the phone call and the girl pick up or some dumb crap like that out of some random stuff. You know what I'm saying? It could be anything that it could be misunderstood by her, that could cause something like that. You know, you had a good moment, next thing you know, she pulling out a knife on you, trying to stab you up. But it's just, you have to be really sure whether the person is somebody you should be married to or not. You stop being with people that's gonna end, that you know in your heart is gonna end up eventually messing you up. You can't blossom somebody if you're not blossomed already yourself. You must already be in a pious way to see somebody pious coming. With men, it's a little different because men are washers of women. You know, we cleanse the energy of women. That's why women have holes. So it's the symbolization of cleaning out a cup, you know, and keeping that cup maintained, you know, and keep it from being broken, and keeping it in safe keeping and in a safe place, you know, or keeping it with you at all times. If you don't even have a safe place, you could be the most homeless poor bum in the world, but you keeping that cup safe as ever, wrapping it up with stuff, newspaper, putting it around a bunch of cushions and cotton to make sure that cup don't break, for a chance you might get to a place where you can take care of it or whatever. So that's what it is, you know. That's what it is, yo. It should not be a question. So no. Because then you start coming up with a bunch of different things that even is in the halakha that say that reasons that you can flog your wife and stuff like that. Oh, you can flog your wife of this. You can flog your wife of that. Shouldn't even be with a woman that you need to be flogging. You know what I'm saying? Meaning you whipping her with a belt. You can whip your wife with a belt or whatever under certain circumstances of extreme silliness, like you beat your daughter. That's what it's like. You beat your daughter because she did something very extreme that put threat to the family and stuff like that. Like somebody about to kill you because something that your wife did, or something that she did, something that caused a big debt in the family, something like that, you know, or whatever the case. You should not be that. But at the same time, we live in an evil system, an evil situation. Things can be misunderstood. Something that seemed like you're irresponsible could be that somebody just messing with you because we are behind enemy lines. We're in the enemy system. So you got to look at that. You have to, because when you know that you're a holy person and stuff is happening to you inside of an evil system, automatically assume that it's because the person is good and holy and it's evil people messing with you. But if you're in a holy system and stuff is happening to you, you're not getting rewarded or whatever the case, it gotta be because you're being evil. Unless there's envy and jealousy hidden somewhere. All kinds of detective things you gotta think about. But off that note, yeah. And yeah, that's really all I gotta say about that. That was a special request video too, from Sister Z. So with that said, I'm gonna let it go. If there are any more like questions about abuse in marriages, just ask me, because I don't want to be answering the tit for tat about what you can do and can't do if the wife get crazy type stuff, or if the husband get crazy. It shouldn't have to be that back and forth. It should be just like, why you even do that? You know what I'm saying? Because when you get married, you got to stick together. You have to stay together. You know what I'm saying? And then you start like having them like, all right, well, if it get too bad, then you got a divorce. When you shouldn't even got married, when you wasn't ready to be married. You know what I'm saying? That's what the situation is. So you have the different halakot on how you got to handle that thing. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Like, if, for example, the husband was taking care of you, all of a sudden he became disabled and can't take care of you, that's means for divorce. You know what I'm saying? Whereas though, in the book of Tobit was, well, they were in the captivity of Nineveh. You know what I'm saying? The place that Yonah went to, or Yuna, he went to Nineveh to preach to them, to repent and all this stuff. But he ended up getting mad and stuff like that they repented, and the Most High didn't destroy that place. Why? Because he knew that Israel would be captives in Nineveh in the future. That's why he was mad. But still, the point is they were captives in Nineveh, and Tobiah, his son, the father and the son, Tobit, bird, something happened where one day he was laying by a wall and a bird came out of one of the holes in the wall and pooped, and the poop got in his eyes and he couldn't see or whatever. So he became disabled. So when you can't see, you're like completely disabled. It's like you don't exist because you can't see. You need always somebody to hold your hand. and be there. And in that sense, people say you got to get divorced. It means a divorce if you are disabled and can't work for your wife and stuff like that. Like, no. You still stick with it. If the husband or the spouse is in their right mind, they can reason, they can think. They're not in any kind of physical pain or whatever the case. Just for living, you're in pain just for living, and there's no way to fix it without harm coming, or there's some kind of no. It'll cause bigger problems and stuff. Like, no, you gotta stop that. You gotta stop that. Some people were saying because of bad breath or whatever. But there are things that way you can fix that. Fix your teeth, fix your breath type stuff. You can fix all that stuff so you can be a better person, or you don't have to be worrying about your wife smelling bad breath type stuff. You can fix all that. You also have, they said, what they say? Like, if you got bad breath, he disabled, he can't take care of you no more, whereas before he could take care of you, you got to divorce him. Where no, the woman just get up and do work. The woman just get up and do work. Being behind enemy lines in America, you understand that. You understand that. Where the woman is forced to do things as well. Because the woman will divorce and end up out there in the streets with nobody. It can't find nobody and end up becoming a porn star or some dumb mess, or, end up becoming perverted in some kind of way just to take care of herself because she divorced her husband because you said da-da-da-da-da. When they should have just stuck together and she handled the income type situation so the husband can get back on his feet. Even though that's a terrible thing, because you had different places. Like I said, Tobit, he was disabled, and his wife ended up doing woman's work. Woman's work was, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, she was working the field and stuff like that, but woman's work. She's in captivity, understand? So until it got to a point where his son came back with some kind of medicine, ointment, or whatever, and washed the eyes of his father out, and his father was able to get back up again and get back to work, to where his wife did not have to be out there doing woman's work anymore. So they stuck together while she was doing the woman's work until he can get back on his feet and get back out there and take care of whatever the case. And then the wife can get back to doing the etc. work too, to keep the balance. There was no balance. The balance was off, so she had to get out there and make up for the imbalance. And also in the book of Judges, Shuf team, where one of the high priest, not the high priest, one of the Kohanim had a concubine, and she went back to her father's house. I guess whatever reason, it didn't give too much detail. It said that she had went back to her father's house and she had played the harlot in her father's house. Pretty much she was basically being a prostitute for her father to, I guess, make up for debts and to make money to, in the household of her father for being poor, whatever the case. So she was having a lot of sex. Even though she was married, she was in her father's house having a lot of sex with a bunch of different men, and her father was using her, even though she was married. And also her father was married too. So it's possible that he was using his wife and he was using his daughter, disrespecting the fact that she got a husband, And so the husband comes back, the Cohen comes back to to get his wife or whatever. He was feeling bad, feeling sorry, like, I want my wife back. Go back and try to get his wife, and the father's trying to, hold him off, like whatever the case. So you see that even still on both sides, you just don't divorce just cause. You work through that mess. Even though people be doing life and death threatening things, it's an instant divorce. Who else? Yosef or Yahusef. He Miriam. He thought Miriam got pregnant by a younger teen like she was, like a teen like she was. Like she was 14, 15 years old. Yosef was already a grown man, like in his 30s and all that. You know what I'm saying? And he was a carpenter. You know what I'm saying? So in their small community where they was at in Nazareth, I think they was in Nazareth. I got correct. I go back and check. But I think it was Bethlehem, Yehuda. So I gotta go back and check. Sorry, it's been a while since I visited that story. But Yahusef, and Miriam were living in the same town. Miriam, she went to school, graduated school. She was 12 years old. She didn't want to get married. The young women came back from school when they graduated. and their fathers looked for husbands for them, or they had husbands already betrothed for them. Miriam wanted to make a promise to not get married and be a virgin her whole life. But her father was like, "That's not good." The Most High was like, "That's not good. I got a plan for you. I want you to bring forth my son in the world, one of my children in the world, the special one that's going to do, you know what I'm saying, the salvation work of the whole world. I need you to bring him forth into the world or whatever. And so, whatever you want, I'm gonna do it or whatever." So she went from wanting to stay a virgin to, "I'm gonna do it." So she does it. End up going to her father. All right, I'll marry Yahusef. So since she goes into Yahusef's house and she lives with him, Yahusef already had a son or whatever the case, that was kind of like around her age or whatever. But she took care of Yaquub, which was named, they called James. She took care of him or whatever the case, as well as she was about to be pregnant in a minute with Yahusha, or some say Yahawashah. She was pregnant with him. And she was like 14, 15 years old. Yaquab or Jacob was like a few years younger than her, like, you know what I'm saying? Or younger than her. And so she ended up becoming pregnant of the Ruach HaKodesh, and so, or of Grandma Shekinah glory, for lack of a better term, so people can understand. The Shekinah glory is the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit. You just call it Shekinah glory. It's her name, Shekinah. Grandma Shekinah. Or some say Shekinah, whatever, but grandma. And so she came upon her and put her own son inside of her. So when you said the Holy Spirit had sex with her, no, it wasn't a masculine, the Most High Father didn't come down to do that. It was a female energy putting her son inside of Miriam. And that's when she ended up pregnant with the Elishbeth house, and which was a priest. That was her, Zachariah house, the high priest, or the Gadol Cohen, the high priest of the town. She lived with him. So that they ain't doing nothing wrong. If you live in a high priest house, you definitely ain't doing nothing wrong. So you definitely know what's right and wrong to do if you live in a high priest house. You know what I'm saying? So that was her cousin. And so her cousin was pregnant and she was pregnant. So the whole situation wouldn't have been, it was like she wouldn't even have been in there if she did something messed up like that. He would have straight killed her. Why would you go to a high priest house if you're birthing a child that's from another man, knowing the Torah law of the high priest, that if you definitely have a daughter that is of a high priest and you got pregnant, you got to kill her right at the high priest's house, at your father's house. You got to die right at the front door. You stone her to death or shoot her to death because you defamed the mess out of the status and the stature of your father, who was a high priest. You made him look low, whereas though he's a very high position for the people, and you made him look like trash just by being his daughter doing stuff. So you got to die right there. You know what I'm saying? So she went to his house as a sign, as well as a sign to say that she wasn't doing nothing crazy. So Yahusef is putting all this together, or whatever the case. When she come back, she see that she got a bump. And like, what's going on? And so it's like he about to divorce her instantly, like, "Oh no, I'm good." And he like straight divorce her, like, "I'm divorcing her, shorty. I'm divorcing her." Take her back to her father and her mother, like, "Look, he did it secretly, privately, because she was a teenager, and they don't want to take her whole life away like that. She probably slipped up, made a mess up, saw something that was pretty, saw a big dick, and was like, oh, I want to try that." Or guys whispered something with it. You know how young girls are and young men are when they see something pretty, or somebody say something real, ooh, or look at the six pack, the muscles, looking at the breasts, or she whatever, did a nice little dance move. Oh, you can really dance and all, you can sing and all this extra stupid stuff. The energy take them over and they end up opening their legs, or the guy end up pulling his dick out. Next thing you know, they're getting pregnant. So slip-ups happen sometimes, whether you know right from wrong or not. And so that's what he was thinking, that she ended up talking to somebody that was like young like her, and he was being older. He's like, "Nah, I ain't gonna ruin her life. I'm not gonna take her life away like that. I'm just gonna give her back to her parents, and I'm gonna start over, so that whoever the father is of the child, they can take care of the child and not start fresh. I don't need to be in that situation where some guy behind the scenes is looking at this woman like, I hit that and that's my baby, while she's still with me with the bit. Like, nah, I ain't got time for all that." So he was like minded to put her away privately. Did it privately. Look, and she's like trying to make her claim, like, I really didn't do it. I didn't do anything. This is a miracle and all this and all that. So when he went to sleep, You know, he got a visitation by a Mount Ak that was like, no, truly, this is a thing done by the Most High. She's pregnant of the Most High. So the angel told her in this dream that it was not a thing done evil. It was a thing done of the Most High. It was a heavenly thing that she got birth, like a vitro type birth. You know what I'm saying? It was a vitro type situation. And so he got up after the dream and went and laid next to his wife and cuddled her up. He spooned her. So he got up from where he was at, angry, and then went over there and spooned her because he didn't want to make it look crazy. So he just kind of like made it look like we was visiting the parents' house and didn't lay with her. He laid somewhere else because he's ready to like put her away privately. So then he grabs her up and then he stays with her and like, all right, well, fine, you know, I'm with you. I trust the Most High, this, that, and the third. And that's how that happened, like that or whatever. And I forgot my point, but I'm just telling you the story for real. Telling you the story for real, but she was young or whatever. And situations like that happen, her being young. So forgive me, I gotta watch the video back. I'd have said that I was going so strong on the details, I forgot the point of what I was talking about. But yeah, it's definitely like that. So with that said, I think that's it. I'm gonna let it go. Shalom, shalom.